Sup everybody, this is Mattia, and today we're going to take a look at the Venture Electronics Bonus AI Pro. This is the successor to the standard Bonus AI. It is a 10mm dynamic driver, single dynamic driver IM, and it comes around $60, so about 40 more than the standard Bonus AI, but it offers a lot more, both in terms of sound and usability. The original one had a non-detachable cable. This has a detachable cable, and a very good cable at that, and it has a more mature, more refined sound that isn't a massive V shape. Those sounded very good for their price, and these are the next step up, the more mature, more versatile sounding set. And I purchased these because I saw a Bad Guy Good Audio review, and I honestly jumped when I saw them. I was like, damn, these look very good, and the cable was like awesome. I saw it and was like, how much? $60? And it does translate into like 52 euros. And I was, yeah, absolutely, take my money, why not? And this was a warmer sound, a bassier sound, and right up to my ally. So we're going to evaluate if his description and the general sound of these does appeal to me or not. Let's see if this is a good product or not. And spoilers, this does match my preferences quite well, but don't let that hype you immediately. We're going to talk about these a bit more into detail. So, first thing I want to state is that Lee basically likes to send. Lee is the head of the Venture Electronics. He does really like sending some gifts with his like upper tier products. This is still a very affordable and almost like budget IM, and these came with an entire pack of Corona masks, 10 of them, a set of monks, an entire EX pack light of foamies just for the monks, and then of course the case, the ear tips for the Bonus AI, the Bonus AI Pro themselves, and a 3.5, I think that adapter is called the Odyssey, like Odyssey, not Odyssey, nor Odys, but Odyssey cable, and it is a 3.5 female to USB-C adapter, that thing, and then the USB-C adapter was connected to a standard USB 1, and I was like, that's a nice touch, thank you. And oh please, Lee, maybe for one, I saw that the Grand Duke, like there was a big thing, like it was a 7mm single dynamic driver I saw on your site. It cost like $1,000 and I don't know why. And I didn't see many people reviewing the Grand Duke. And the first thing that popped in my head is, how much are you going to extract from a 7mm dynamic, single dynamic driver in such a beautiful housing? Like $1,000, that's a lot of money, and I was super curious at Venture Electronics for that, for the start. And I think their first step into the IM world was the Bonus AI, the standard Bonus AI. Then I saw this thing that is called the Grand Duke. It cost like a fucking $1,000, and I was like, I'm interested. Why do I not see many reviews of this? And there was not much to talk about, honestly. I didn't see any review of that in any forums. Why? But these are more known, and the Bonus AI especially. So I'm going to skip all of this babbling, sorry for all of this, and I'm also sorry, I don't know if you can hear it, but it is windy out there, and I hope you cannot hear much of that noise coming through the door, but I'm going to run with it anyway. So the case is very nice, and unfortunately it's starting to like peel off there. I can fix that very easily with a cut or simply gluing it to this gummy part. I really do like it. It's like a hard shell case, not the hardest, but it's stiff. This is going to protect your IMs from a fall, no problems. And it has this blue, very, very nice color. I really also was attracted by the overall looks of these, and that's why I decided to the sound description is what I want, and they look nice. The cable is that. Oh, that. And I jumped the shark. So let's take a look at this fucking monster of a cable, and it's the heaviest cable I've tried of all the cables I've held in my hand, and it is a very, very, very well built one. It's a bit stiff on there. This is the cloth and mylar part. It is composed by both plastic and cloth, and it is a thick one, not as thick as the Linso LSC08, but that's like the thickest one. But I do find this honestly very, very supple, while not being like the most supple. It's a touch. See that? It does retain its shape. If I do that, it does retain its shape a bit, but it is a very well constructed cable, and for $60, holy shit, why not? And this is possibly the most functional splitter that I've seen, because this is like molded plastic. They like put a tube, and this also has some branding on it. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, here you go. vclan.com. Yeah. This is like one of those tubes that is made of rubber and it shrinks with temperature. Yeah, that's one of those. It is stamped on there, and this gives a sense of security. Like, these things are not going to pop out from there. You can break the cable, but you are not going to break the connection from there to there. That's like for sure. And it comes into that like these twisted 4-core braided single like tiny cables, and I wish they were not twisted but braided, but that's fine. If you're going to treat them well, they're not going to undo themselves like this. So take care, but not too much, because honestly this is a very sturdy cable, and despite these being not the thickest single wires. How are they called when you come with the splitter? The splitted cables? The single cables that come into the IM itself. Yeah, those. I do prefer a thicker one, and this is a bit thinner than I would like, but it's fine. The only problem that I have with this cable is, do you know how much this weighs? These are an aluminum IM. They are not the lightest IM I've held, for sure. They have some girth to them. They're possibly lighter than the Moondrop Starfields, but both of them together do not hold a candle to the weight of this. This is, at least I think it is, it must be a stainless steel end, and it weighs, can you feel that? It weighs a ton. This thing is super heavy, and the problem with this is, and the problem with the cloth thing there, if you want to walk with your IMs upright, and you can always wear these over ear or standard like earbud thingy, go in, go plug sound, yeah, that. You can go both ways, like your mom, sorry. But I unfortunately tested that when these go over your ear, they tend to hurt a bit because the cable is not the thickest and this weighs a ton when it's staying in an upright position, and all the weight of the cable comes down and drags the external portion of the cable onto your ear. This thing rubs and rubs and rubs, and sometimes if you don't have the right ear tips, it tends to pull the IM itself outside from your ear. So I settled after a long trial of ear tips on these foam triple win ones, and I tested all the silicone tips I had to settle on these, the medium-sized triple win foamies, because I wanted them to stay in this position, exactly this position, not over here, because after a while that hurt. So now I managed to solve it, but be aware, if you have a tinier opening in your ear, this might be a problem for you. I recommend you seek for a foam ear tip that manages to expand and protrude this aluminum portion outside from your ear, because if you have a tinier one, this part is going to hit you. Oh, well, by the way, I'm going to do like a close-up. Here we go. They're all like gold aluminum thingies with this. This is a port on the back, and that's how Ventral Electronic tunes these. And here we go. You have the Bonus ADB logo there, and yeah, they're not the weightiest, but they do have their weight. It's a pleasant weight. And since they're a standard bean shaped IM, like more of a protruded one rather than a horizontal bean or a general IM shape, they're not the most comfortable, honestly, for me. They're not the most, they're not the most comfortable, and I can wear them in this position for like, if I'm sitting and I'm not moving for like an hour and a half, it's okay. But then since the ear tips has to be bigger than the housing to not having the aluminum housing touching my ear, it starts to hurt after a while. So be aware, these can be very comfortable, honestly, for most people, but for me they didn't work quite as much as I wanted, but they do fit and they're not uncomfortable for the first like hour and a half. No problem with that. And yeah, they're sturdy, and the MMCX connectors are nicely made. They're marked. This is the, let me check which one is this. Should have the letter there, sorry guys. This one with the mark there is the, oh my god, is it possible that I cannot see it? My god, astigmatism is a problem. This is L and this is R. The one that has a ring on it is the L, and then this, which is completely like a barrel design, is the R. And that's it. Now, build, very nice, absolutely. The cable is a bit heavy. If you want to change it, you can, of course, but I will not because this is beautiful. And let's jump onto the sound. Sorry, I'm going to put them outside for a second. This is Bad Guy Good Audio Reviews RAF, and I think it does reflect what it basically measures. These have a very elevated bass, especially in the sub-bass region, but it's a clean bass. It's not the fastest nor the tightest, but it is clean, and it is a step up from like something like the KZ EDX in terms of tightness, control, and a much better step up in terms of how much it does interfere with the mid-range. This does not interfere with the mid-range. It does like lend to a slightly warmer and rounder, thicker notes perception of the sound, which I do tend to like a lot. And him, Chris, described the sound as something that will please bass heads and something warmer. And I'm here to assess that, if it's, like for me, true or not. And yeah, it is true. It is a more bassy set, and I did that thing that he did, like closing up the vents, and I did not like how he sounded with that configuration, because the sound got much more closed in, the soundstage got cut off, and the upper mid-range, for me at least, started to creep up a bit. However, I did feel that like they were retrieving a bit more detailed. However, I always kept them unmodded like they are right now. I do like the huge shelf on the bass. For my preferences, I wish it was just a touch less, but I don't mind it. I do not mind it at all, because it's a fun sound and it is like an everyday listening experience, a very good one at that. And it's not a neutral nor reference sound. It is a relaxed presentation, as you can see from there. The pinna gain is not as elevated as one will expect. From there to there, it's like maybe 7 decibels, maybe 7.5 decibels of like jump, and it's not much, honestly, and I do like that, because if the upper mid-range and the lower treble, see, the lower treble is also relaxed, that lends to a perception for me in thinness. Yeah, it does add more clarity for sure, like in the Etymotics, but it leaves for me a sense of thinness in the sound that I do not enjoy if it's not done really well. And then it continues, like, of course, after 8K the measurements should not be taken seriously, and after that the coupler tends to skew a bit from accuracy. So after 8K, I do not think, at least from what I know, the graphs should be taken with a grain of salt. And yeah, stock configuration, these have a very nice bass shelf. It does not protrude into the mids particularly, it just lends to a more sense of warmth that carries through the mids. The mids are not put down, honestly. They're not even recessed, but just behind the bass. I will not call them recessed per se, but they are a bit pulled back for the character of the bass, just for that. And they have this nice weighty presence, nice tonality, and a decent timbre to back it up. It's a soothing sound that works with every single genre I've played through these. Every single genre is good for these. These are a very good all-rounder, and for those who like bass, who like very nice sub-bass, these are up to your ally, because they make your ear shake when the song calls upon it. However, when the song does not want you to play extreme sub-bass low tones, the bass is just going to go a bit above what it should go and give that perception of warmth that it might be even a guilty pleasure, but I do enjoy it. And it's not a frequency response that is extremely skewed from one side to another. It is a more softer, more bassier V shape, and it is a slight V shape, and you can call these a warm, bassy sound, more than a maybe even an L shape, but I will not call it an L shape because the mid-range actually comes a bit up and vocals do sound good. Regarding mid-range is expressed in a very good tonal balance. There's good emotions on these, they are portrayed better than the Etymotics. It's not as detailed as the Etymotics, not as hard. I want to say the Etymotics might be tighter in a bass, they might be thumpier, but these kick ass in terms of sub bass out of those. They shit on those in terms of pure fun and enjoyability of, hey, do you want to listen to EDM? Oh, take these, not those. Absolutely take these 100%. They have that sense of rumble and enjoyment, and they're not obscuring the mids while doing that. Nice job, Lee. Nice job, those guys at Venture Electronics, for not obscuring the mids while having the bass significantly raised above neutral. That's like a from 60 to almost 75, almost a 15 dB elevation in the sub bass, and it does honestly drop off like 200 hertz. It gets almost in line, if not in line, with the upper mid range, like there. And from under 200, if you want to do a good bass shelf, if you make it drop like at 200, 250, that's perfect. That's great. These make it drop like at around 1K. That's from there to there. At least it's not much of an elevation. It is a 5 dB elevation, but it's not too much, and they do not obscure the mids, so it's fine. The treble, then, it's relaxed. It's a smooth, easygoing sound, almost never peaky. This is like my dream, because if an IM cannot do all the songs on my playlist, it has to be a super genius like generalist, and I know that I'm requiring something rather impossible, because I do not think such IM exists. Like you have to be good at classical, rock, pop, and anime OST, super high fucking pitched vocals from the Hatsune Miku, like that, and then you have to be good at orchestral passages. You have to be good at echo, even at songs like jazz, R&B, pop, even I do even listen to some like the more hardcore metal tracks or EDM, dubstep, all the genres. I have them in my playlist. I'm a generalist. I do like listening to not the genre itself, but to what a single song can do. And I know you can call me an idiot from that, but that's my thought. That's how I listen to music, and I do not care what you say, because that's my preferences. That's what I do tend to enjoy, and that's how I want to listen to my music. I put it on shuffle and go find me a good song, and from that eventually I'll start listening, and then maybe I'll cry. But aside from that, relaxed treble, not very detailed, but smooth, easygoing, not as rolled off in the treble as, for example, the KZ EDX. These had like a huge, massive surprise coming up for me in one of the songs from Snail's House. Those are electronic songs, and the treble in one of those came in, and it was a mixture of super clarity while not being harsh at all. Those songs are very intense, especially some, and these portray that in a very good manner, especially considering the fact that they are not generally a super clear sound. You want to go for the Etymotics for that, or even the Starfields. Etymotics actually more than the Starfields, but these did a damn fine job with that. And it's not on every song, but you can find some gems here and there that really make this character stand out. Now, timbre, tonality overall, great. Timbre is not the most natural I've ever heard. I've give timbre to the Etymotics actually, despite being an overall thinner sound based more on clarity and detail, and that's not usually what I go onto, but Etymotics do something magical that these don't do, and these do something that those don't do, which is soundstage and a bit of diffusion in the imaging. Actually, these have a better imaging, slightly better imaging than the Blonde 01, and it's not as good as the Starfields, and it's not as good as the Etymotics. However, the soundstage is bigger than both of those. Not in depth when compared to the Etymotic, but much more in terms of height and width. These have that slight bit of grandeur, scale of like they exaggerate the bigness of the actual sounds around you, and they do a great job of that. Not as great as perhaps the KZ-EDX or the Balon 01, but they sure do keep things more real than both those IMs. So, soundstage very good, rather immersive. When you put your if you want to do the mod, if you want to like tape these holes, the soundstage, for me at least from what I've tried, gets cramped. And I do not like the feeling. I love soundstage, and please, if you're giving me an IM that already starts with the saying, hey, I'm something that is going to stick inside your ear canal, and I should have no soundstage. If you please can give me a bit of soundstage, a bit of openness that I do love, please do that. And it is especially important in IMs because I think if you take a claustrophobic stage, the enjoyability of the sound, for me at least, gets so much less. It is not the case with the Etymotics. I mean, it is a bit the case with the Etymotics, but not in a way that I will really mind, because these are a specialist for genre and especially for recording quality. These do have some great level of depth, and that's why the soundstage gets, from a certain point of view, saved. On these, no problem. Soundstage, yeah, go. I think that is also responsible for the fact that the imaging is a touch more diffuse, and I think that since the housing are a bit farther from my ear canals and having these ear tips, that contributes to a feeling of like, ooh, magic, space, ooh, nice. And having that warm, softer tone to them, nice. These are nice. Perhaps I found my favorite tonality from what I want in my music. My perfect tonality will be a slightly more elevated, like treble region there, and slightly less sub bass, a more coherent drop off there, and going down to not 300 Hz but perhaps 400 Hz, just to give that warm, like vinyl sound that I really enjoy. And I want the pinna gain to be just slightly more than this, and the lower treble right where it's at. That's it. I do not want anything else. This for me is a great tonality. It's not neutral, but personal preferences, fuck yeah, absolutely, 100%. So, compared to the Starfields, in a brief moment, the Starfields are a more comfortable AM. They are more beautiful. As far as these are more beautiful, these are more beautiful. And when I laid my eyes on these, ooh, that was like my heart, like, oh, melted. I do prefer though the sound of these. These are thinner, they're colder, they have a slower bass than these. However, the imaging and the upper treble on these is better than these, especially the imaging. Severely better. These perhaps have a bit more detail in the mid-range. Oh my god, look at that. Yeah, that's it for the comparison with the Starfields. Oh, also the stage on the Bonus IE is both deeper and wider, so that's a win for me. The Starfields though are very good for some specific genres. The Etymotics will still be my number one pick because they have an ultra clear sound. When going from these, the Bonus IE Pro to the Etymotics, I feel an immediate jump in terms of clarity, speed, tightness, and detail retrieval. However, what I lose is a sense of soundstage and a bit of softness that I do enjoy in the notes. Mids are thinner, they're not as weighty, nor the bass is not nearly as thumpy and as satisfying as the Venture Electronic Bonus IE Pro. However, these do have more dynamic range. These do scale dynamics better, considerably better than the Bonus IE Pro. So for critical listening, for like, I want to put something on and just fucking hammer me with detail, these, absolutely, the Etymotics do win. However, for my personal preferences, what I will choose like on an everyday basis, that's going to be the Venture Electronics Bonus IE, because they're relaxing. They let me like chill into the music, just go, trespass. Thing that the Etymotics don't do. The Etymotics like present an ultra clear and very concise like wash and precision of detail, and yeah, but these are more up to my eye. So if my preferences eventually match yours, I will suggest you pick one of these up, because they do not cost a lot, honestly, and they have a nice build, an extremely nice cable, a nice customer support, nice company, and a great packaging, a great unboxing experience. So Lee, my compliments, fuck yeah, these are a winner. Goodbye guys.